A Japanese college student finds himself being summoned to another world with S-rank physical powers to save the princess from the enemies. But there have been other heroes that were summoned in this world 30 years ago. What is happening in this world and where are they now? Today we're going to be talking about Dungeon Harem Master. Now the story begins with Shimon Kurando, a university student indulging in a dating site to curb his urges, spending hard-earned money from his part-time job there. A rendezvous with a woman led to a shocking reality, however. She looked nothing like her picture, sparking a confrontation where he inadvertently insults her because of her catfish. And threatening with exposure, Shimon felt unfairly treated, to say the least, and vowing to quit the site. Imagine yourself in his position, and you have been dreaming of a mermaid only to see a whale in front of your eyes. A peculiar ad seeking a hero caught his eye, however, despite the skepticism. Clicking it, it sucked him into a different world, and meanwhile, a distressed princess attempting to save her kingdom summoned aid but was met with a terrifying behemoth. In desperation, she realized she might have erred in her summoning. As the beast menacingly approached, claiming to be her summoned savior, the arrival of Shimon, summoned by an accidental spell, disrupted the scene. The beast has to be too desperate to take off the princess' clothes, especially that fast after being summoned. Confused and disoriented, he encountered the naked princess, triggering her embarrassment and flight. Imagine being sucked into another world only to witness a naked princess and a beast along with it. Well, putting it lightly, Shimon is definitely having a rough day. His attempts to reassure her were interrupted by a knight, Victor, who misunderstood the situation and attacks him, leaving him grievously wounded. And man, the whole situation only gets worse from here. As Shimon lay bleeding, the princess fainted and Victor ordered his arrest. Waking up in a prison, he met fellow inmates Ronzo, Jarmil, and Koizumi, the latter claiming to have been summoned 30 years prior as the former hero. Koizumi explained the crest on Shimon's stomach, enhancing his abilities and marking a contract with the Princess Octavia. Despite feeling a semblance of superhuman capabilities, Shimon realized the gravity of his situation. Koizumi warned of his fate as the princess's shield regardless of his willingness. Now Shimon here vows not to idly accept this destiny and promises to make a change and return to Japan. In this unfamiliar realm, Shimon grappled with his predicament, determined not to succumb to fate. His encounter with the princess and subsequent injury marked the beginning of a journey fraught with uncertainty, but with a resolve to challenge the status quo. As mealtime interrupted their conversation, Maggot, the silent woman delivering food, evoked fear and surprise when Shimon addressed her by name. Imagine having a daughter and naming her Maggot. Geez, some people really have a dark sense of humor. Her abrupt departure perplexed him. Accused of having a frightening visage, Shimon felt unjustly ridiculed. Amidst discussions with his fellow prisoners, a formidable figure, Kamilovich Varin, arrived seeking resilience in a boy. Warned of Varin's reputation, the bald man's jealousy surfaced, reminding Shimon of his encounter with Victoire, who had wounded him previously. And with being confronted by Victoire and her knights, she sought forgiveness, offering compensation. Shimon chose understanding over conflict, yet their reconciliation was interrupted by Shizuka, a Japanese girl who abruptly attacks. Amidst the chaos, accusations flew, and suspicions mounted against Shimon, of course. He found himself coerced into forced labor and pondering the imminent dangers surrounding him. And to make matters worse, goblins attack, which heightens tension, with guards indifferent to the chaos. Amidst the turmoil, Shimon noticed Maggot's peril. Determined to protect her, he urged her to flee, insisting he could handle the danger alone. Despite his own vulnerability, Shimon selflessly sought to shield Maggot from harm. He might be a perverted one, but he is definitely a Chad for helping helpless women. Now the shouts of an old man of warning fell on deaf ears as Shimon recklessly fought off the goblins, using himself as a shield to protect Maggot. Arrows rained down upon him, blurring his vision until he noticed that the guards had saved Maggot. As consciousness returns to him in prison, Maggot, relieved by his recovery, expresses her disbelief at Shimon's daring rescue, grateful, yet puzzled by his actions. Here their bond grew as they become friends, marked by a symbolic exchange of a flower. Despite the unspoken tension, Maggot revealed her brother's impending arrival, an adventurer willing to explore Silver Villago's dungeons with them, should they have the means. Their friendship flourished, and Shimon finding solace in their budding camaraderie. However, their peace shattered when a man accusing Maggot of theft brutally assaults her. Shimon, helpless, called for aid, witnessing her abduction. Feeling a mix of rage and helplessness, he struggled to comprehend the unfolding events. And the old man, observing Shimon's turmoil, found echoes of his own past in this young man. Reminiscing on his life's regrets, he pondered what had altered his spirit. And before he could grasp the gravity of the situation, the imposing figure of the huge man confronted Shimon, blaming him for attempting to escape with Maggot, threatening both Shimon and Maggot with execution. And the huge man launched into a disturbing narrative of manipulation and betrayal involving Marianne, the old man's lost love. Haunted by the enormity of the situation, the old man grappled with guilt while Shimon, determined to protect Maggot, vowed not to let her suffer. Amidst the impending danger, they found themselves united in their resolve to defy the impending tragedy. And as the looming threat loitered, Shimon's determination solidified, driven by an innate sense of justice and protectiveness. The old man's turmoil collided with Shimon's determination, both grappling with their past and the injustice that looms ahead. And working in unison, the group attempts to escape. And astonishingly, the old man shattered steel doors, revealing unexpected strength. Departure amidst the prisoners' protests, the old man sought vengeance for past grievances. When knights intervened, the old man unleashed fury, carving through them with chilling precision. Amidst the chaos, memories of Marianne haunted him, igniting a frenzy of retaliation against his enemies. As adversaries closed in, a tense standoff ensued between the old man and his nemesis, surprising even the formidable foe with the old man's swift prowess. In a cruel turn, Molino, appearing to seek aid, was betrayed by his companion, devastating the old man. Despite his warnings, Shimon intervened, seeking justice against their common foe. And tragedy strikes when arrows claim Coronzo's life, leaving the enemy gloating. Amidst a barrage of arrows, the group flees, with the old man struggling to survive. In a poignant moment, the old man entrusted Shimon with a locket that once belonged to Marianne, urging him to live proudly. Despite the old man's demise, Shimon vowed to confront their adversary, with his determination unwavering. Haunted by loss, the group faced an uncertain future. Yet Shimon, honoring the old man's memory, stood resolute, ready to confront their ultimate enemy. Everyone spam F in the comments to pay respects to the old man. He has done enough in his life. As chaos engulfed the castle, knights scrambled to fortify the doors against the intruders. The companions of the protagonist sought retribution, striking down the guards who had tormented them. The huge tormentor, witnessing the protagonist's pursuit, realizes the sword in his hand symbolizes the old man's deserved revenge. Amidst the confrontation, the protagonist urged the tormentor to calm down, but a skirmish ensued. Despite a slice to the tormentor's face, the protagonist found himself downed by a barrage of arrows. The jailer, intent on delivering the final blow, swung his hammer toward the prone protagonist. However, in a selfless act, Maggot intervenes, sacrificing herself to shield the protagonist. "I'm not crying, you guys are." And as she fell, the crest on the protagonist's body illuminates, signifying his heroism. Despite the jailer's relentless assaults, the protagonist's wounds healed swiftly, confronting the assailant. As panic crippled the jailer, he attempts to flee, but the protagonist, wielding a sword, immobilizes him. Cornered and desperate, the jailer begs for forgiveness, but the protagonist, fueled by fury and a sense of justice, ends the tormentor's life, ensuring he met his demise. Amidst the aftermath, the protagonist cradles Maggot, pondering her sacrifice. Her smile in death left an indelible mark, compelling him to honor her memory. As his companions proposed future plans, the protagonist reveals his ambition to venture to Silver Villago as an adventurer. With a heartfelt promise to meet again someday, he bid farewell, setting his sights on his chosen destination. Filled with a sense of purpose and driven by memories of the old man and Maggot's sacrifices, the protagonist embarks on a journey, carrying their spirits with him. The coordinates of Silver Villago become his guiding beacon, a destination tinged with hopes and promises. And as the protagonist departed, he carried the weight of the sacrifices made by those who had touched his life. Their selflessness spurred his determination, shaping his path towards a new chapter as an adventurer. With Maggot's sacrifice etched in his heart, he embarked on a quest fueled by remembrance, vowing to honor her memory in his adventures to come. As the protagonist vanishes after the burial, the knight informs the princess, prompting Victoire to pledge to locate him. The princess, determined to watch over the hero, seeks Victoire's support, hoping for a future together. However, Victoire harbors doubts about the princess's intentions, discussing her skepticism with a friend. Nonetheless, she vows to search for clues regarding the hero's whereabouts. Meanwhile, the protagonist near a river encounters two armed men demanding to know if he is Simon, Despite his attempts to ascertain their identity, the men attack, forcing him to defend himself. Their demise leaves him troubled, and he starts questioning his existence in this place. Wounded and disoriented, the protagonist wakes up in an unfamiliar location, welcomed by a man and his enchanting daughter, Greta. Mesmerized by her beauty, he feels an inexplicable attraction and indulges in their hospitality. This man hits on a woman wherever he goes, I suppose, but we can surely name him a serial pervert. The man, hinting at demon beast encounters and a witch who controls them, proposes hiring the protagonist to defeat her. He sweetens the offer by suggesting marriage to Greta if motivation proves insufficient. The old man looked cunning since the beginning, as he is using the dumb fuck protagonist to carry out a burden. Yet, unperturbed by the marriage proposal, the protagonist vows to vanquish the witch. Greta, grateful for his determination, bids him farewell with a packed meal and funds for his journey. As he readies to depart, Greta insists the outfit suits him and earnestly urges him to return safely. On his way, the protagonist reflects on Greta's kindness, pondering if he can actually fulfill his promises. Arriving at the witch's dwelling, he demands her presence, but her dismissive response infuriates him. His persistence annoys the witch, leading to a potentially fatal confrontation, as she unleashes a powerful ray, incapacitating him. Upon awaking in the witch's abode, the protagonist anxiously seeks the identity of his captor. To his astonishment, the bewitching figure introduces herself as Maica, causing him to blush uncontrollably. The encounter with Maica, the witch, bewilders the protagonist, whose initial assumptions are confounded by her beauty. The abrupt transition from seeking revenge on the witch to awakening in her house leaves him disoriented. Despite his resolve and determination, the protagonist finds himself at the mercy of a situation he never fully anticipated. Even the witch is beautiful in this manga. What the hell is happening here, guys? The moment the protagonist realizes the witch isn't the expected old crone, he stammers, overwhelmed by embarrassment. Urged by the witch named Maica to cease his staring, he explains the false information he received about her summoning demons to the village. Maica refutes the accusation, attributing the chaos to Sohit, a malevolent god sealed in the ancient forest, whose imminent resurrection causes the monster's rampage. She warns that confronting Sohit won't be that easy. Despite his doubts, the protagonist insists on aiding her. Maica allows him, believing him kind-hearted. However, the protagonist's thoughts wander, contemplating the vast age difference between them, as he estimates Maica's age to be over a millennium. She clarifies that she aged slowly compared to others in her profession, furthering his discomfort. She might be old as hell, but that doesn't mean our guy is about to forget about tapping her, you know what I mean. Desiring a companion for his journey, the protagonist boldly declares them partners, inadvertently touching Maica's melons. Shocked, Maica retaliates, leaving the protagonist bound in a corner till the morning. Maica dismisses his inquiries, focusing on their imminent quest. And as they embark at dawn, the protagonist partakes of Maica's unexpectedly delicious cooking, engaging her in conversation about her family. And Maica reveals she lived with her mother before her imprisonment, and now presumes her mother deceased. The protagonist empathizes with her loneliness, suggesting sleeping arrangements to comfort her, but Maica dismisses the idea, directing him to sleep in the barn instead. The following morning, the protagonist discovers Maica naked in her room. Stunned, he fixates on her beauty, focusing particularly on her ears, even going so far as to bite them. This earns him a rebuke and lands him tied up in the corner yet again. Maica explains their journey will soon begin, and directing the protagonist's attention to the task at hand, our guy gets his ass handed over for being a pervert. At least he had his short-term fun for a while. As they travel through the forest, their banter persists, despite Maica's attempt to focus on their mission. Suddenly, they are besieged by an army of locusts, prompting Maica to unleash her magical prowess while the protagonist engages the monsters. He gets injured but reveals a sigil of immortality, baffling Maica with his rapid healing. Maica cautions him about over-relying on the sigil and explains the risks it possesses. Their journey continues, leading them to a living tree with a face, identified as Ento. Ento discusses the dangers posed by the demon's impending release and requests the protagonist to care for Maica. Navigating through the forest, Maica's health deteriorates, and when she collapses, the protagonist tries to care for her, but she refuses assistance. Desperate, he seeks help from Ento to cure her, despite Maica's reluctance to be left alone. Leaving her sleeping, he rushes to Ento for answers, hoping to find a cure for her ailment. Looks like that'll be it for today, guys. But don't worry, we will surely be back with another story for another day. If you guys are interested in seeing part 2, please let us know in the comments down below. And also, write in the comments about the manga that you are reading right now and if you would like us to do a review over it. And if you already like this video, then hey, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as it inspires us to create more content just like this one. And as for now, we'll catch you later. See you in the next one.